Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the People's Congregation of Shakers and Movers. I am Sandy, and I'm here with Anna for our midweek reset of Slow Flow Yoga. And Anna, I did just want to talk a little bit about how busy the month of September was for me between my birthday and between a certain special couple getting married last weekend. This month has just flown by, and I have been guilty of going from thing to thing to thing to thing. And so I just wanted to talk about why we do this, right? This midweek reset with our Self Care Doula so that we can find some stillness. Because in that stillness is where we can find peace, where we would hear messages from source, where I do my best manifesting because we're open to receive, right? So we really have to find our ground zero, our baseline, and then we can hear finally, right, what the universe is trying to tell us from the ethers. So thank you so much for this practice. And I think this is why developing any sort of practice, right, is so beneficial to especially us busy moms, busy humans, whether that's the space in between when you are dropping off your kiddo and going to pick up your coffee. Maybe you only have these little 2-3 minute windows throughout the day. Matt and I talk about this a lot. Just when can you find stillness? Is so huge right now, and not stillness looking down into your phone, not stillness, zoning out on a video game. I'm talking about true, just ground zero. I'm going to call it ground zero, not in a bad way, right? But I think
of ground control.
Right. The pendulum swings and the pendulum stops. But even when it stops, it's still giving off a vibration, right? Just like us. And I feel like the more that we focus on that vibration that we are giving off into the ethers, into the cosmos, the more we focus on it, the more we're going to receive what we put out, right? So finding the positivity in the chaos, finding peace in the chaos is one of our missions here at the People's Congregation.
Yes, our goal is to be the peace within the chaos, that stillness within the chaos, because everything else is going to keep going, and you can only control yourself, right?
Yeah, and although, talking about how thoughts and words and actions ripple, maybe we do have a little bit more control than we think, which is why I think it is so important to work on your mindset, because ultimately I think you can manifest your destiny, which is one of my, pillars of my life. You see it, you got to believe it, you got to feel it, you have to act as if it's already happened.
Yeah.
Right? And so but to me, finding the stillness, you can't really manifest or see until you breathe. Right.
So yes, and that's so true. And I also want to talk about what happens on the flip side when you become part of the chaos. So as much as we move our bodies and try to find, those times where we can be still, there are moments where, because we are human, where as much meditation, breath work, movement that we do, when we're feeling tense or under pressure, no matter how much we're doing and how much mindfulness we practice, there's sometimes a moment where you're all of a sudden cursing or having these thoughts, or instead of remembering to not say anything, you say something, being reactive. And what I'd like to say about that is that we all do it. We all, whether, we do it in front of each other or behind the steering wheel or at home, wherever we are, or even towards our children sometimes when things just we're so under pressure, things can just all of a sudden release. And sometimes that can trigger shame because, we do these practices, we represent these things, we try to do our best to manifest things, but we can't help sometimes being redirected to our humanness. And what I would like to bring in is to say that it's okay when that happens. I think the important thing is, with all the things, and I'll use myself as an example, with all the things that I've been navigating since my brother's death, I'll say that. It's been, peaks and valleys, right? We've done these amazing, joyous things, and we've brought joy into our lives. And then we also have been feeling, or at least what I've been feeling. And then there's things that trigger us that can release things from ourselves where we're like, whoa, you know, should I have done that? Should I have not done that? Should I? And then you already did it. So it's just kind of going into that place where you recognize and you're being mindful of like, you know, that didn't really feel like me, but it was me. And I think I just kind of need to reel myself back in and kind of, you know, say sorry, right? Come forward and say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said this. Or just come back and say, it's okay to feel, release the shame. Like, we all go into these shifts. Don't be hard on yourself. And this is why we also come to find stillness here in the middle of the week.
Right? Almost dead center in the middle of the work week, which is why we do this, because it's never too late to start over, right? It's never too late to reel it in and remind yourself that you are in fact connected to everything in the universe and everything you think and everything you speak. You really can't take it back.
Yeah.
And imagine if you could record it. And imagine if you had to review it at the end of every day. Yeah. Would you? Of course you wouldn't be proud of every little moment, you know what I mean? But act as if, you know, and then, you know, it might influence a little bit and have you pause before you actually speak or react, right? So.
Yeah, because sometimes things can be very triggering too, and they can trigger, you know, there are so many emotions in grief, anger being one of them, that, you know, anger, reflection of what could have been, what should have been, how could we have done all these things differently, and then you come into this place of, you know, of anger, and we have to release it some way. It's just the conscious choice of sometimes things release and they release, and you just kind of reel yourself back in.
I bring it back to gratitude.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because it's like the pendulum, like shame, fear, guilt are very low vibrational frequency emotions. Love, abundance, peace, you know, are kind of on the other end. And gratitude, of course, is like my go-to. So it's like you might be aggravated or mad that an experience didn't happen because somebody was taken away, but you have to then shift it and be grateful for all the times you did have, right?
Yeah.
It's like a way to swing the pendulum the other way.
Yeah.
I know I have pendulums on the brain today, but I do.
And we're so complex, right? We're so complex. Give yourself the grace. It's okay to go through these moments and, you know, be kind to yourself. And being kind to yourself, you'll be kind to others.
And being kind to yourself also means taking the time to get on the mat and do the damn work, right? Like, you got to do the work.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to do the work today, Anna. And if you see me not doing down dogs, it's just because of my sinus infection situation.
I can't let you go just yet.
Oh, okay.
Because I do really want to know what's happening Saturday.
Oh, right. We have the announcement. So yeah, this Saturday we have DJ Glowworm from 12 to 3. Friday night we have Jenna coming down for our astrology night to talk more about connectedness and how, you know, our soul's purpose is intrinsically connected to the cosmos and how we do have a chance to co-create with the cosmos. And I do think, you know, manifest our destiny. So I think like knowing your place in the zodiac and maybe even your partners. We're going to review birth charts, all 12 zodiac signs. Jenna's coming all the way down from Maine. And so yeah, do come down. It's going to be fun. We're going to be doing more of these like educational things on Friday nights. And then if you have an idea of something you would like to bring to a Friday night and you're a member and you want to share your love and passion for a healing modality, or maybe it's like you're an expert at sacred geometry, or you're, you know, you want to share how to crystal wrap, like reach out to me, because we are looking for crafts. We're looking for different topics of, you know, interest that we can just educate ourselves with, to arm ourselves with information to navigate this crazy world that we live in.
We're always open.
So DJ Glowworm is on Saturday at high noon, and then we'll have the Elements Takeover, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to write it up in the newsletter, but there's a night that's been happening at the Phoenix Landing in Cambridge for like nearly 25 years, and we have the resident DJ Furious and the founder of that night, Lenore, coming in October, but more about that in the newsletter. So it's going to be a lot of drum and bass in October. Get us ready for Halloween. We're going to be dancing it up here. So yeah, please do subscribe to our newsletter, pcsam.org. Consider becoming a member, which helps us produce this programming. And definitely come dance with us, because, you know, for me, finding inner peace, it's not always in stillness. It's definitely by moving my hips, getting some stuff out, you know, because we store our emotions in our body, which we could talk a whole podcast just about that. But yeah, so alas, you know, thank you for reminding me about the events calendar, because we have been working hard to get the events up on the website. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Jason. But yeah, come vibe with us.
Yeah, and don't forget to RSVP so we know you're coming.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, it is helpful.
All right,
my love.
namaste.
Namaste. All right, talking about the hips. The hips. The hips. You got tightness in the hips? Do you have instability in the hips? What's instability in the hips? Maybe instability in the hips is coming from a tight low back, tight hamstrings, a tight psoas. What's the psoas? Psoas is the muscle that connects from the lower rib cage, the last one, and is like a really deep muscle that travels down towards the hip. So it kind of attaches the rib cage to the hips. And sometimes, depending on our movements, we can find a really deep pain if we strain ourselves in that particular muscle. It's kind of like, gosh, I can't pinpoint where that pain is coming from because it's such a deep muscle. So on that, we'll be working on some stretches that extend from that muscle all the way down to the hamstrings and to the outside of the quads. So we're going to get into the T-band in a little bit. So let's start by centering ourselves and becoming that peace within the chaos by finding your stillness for a moment. So notice if you're fidgety, if you can't sit still, take a moment to take the palms down to your lap and begin to become aware of your breath. So coming into your breath awareness, inviting you to either soften your gaze or close your eyes. And just beginning to notice how you're breathing. Maybe you're coming in hot and you're breathing fast. Maybe the breath is a little shallow or just coming from the chest area. And we're just taking in the information as we bring in that breath awareness. I'm going to invite you now to deepen the breath by taking a nice long inhale in, filling the belly, and then exhaling it all out. Nice deep breath in. Long exhale out. And let's revisit our intention. So maybe you've already set an intention for the week. Maybe you haven't had a moment to set an intention. So let's take a moment right now to invite that in. And gently bringing our hands at the heart center in prayer position. Honoring our intentions, honoring ourselves and each other. All right, let's gently release and come to our backs. Actually, I'm going to move these over here and Mama over here. All right. So come to your backs, find a relaxed position. Hands can be anywhere. Arms can relax on the body or by your side. So I have my palms down, so I'm feeling the earth beneath my palms, feeling the earth behind my heels, my legs making contact, my backside body, shoulders, back of the head. Nice deep breath in and exhale out. On the next breath, we're going to inhale our arms over the head and lengthen in opposite direction. So legs are going to lengthen. You can point or flex the feet. Point and flex and lengthen. And then let's bring the knees into the chest. So wrap yourself in a little ball as tight as you can. Take the shoulders down, take the chin, tuck the chin slightly so you're making a nice straight spine with the neck and spine. And then take a nice deep breath and take a full body stretch. And on the exhale, reach for those knees and make yourself a little ball. Shoulders drop down to the mat, chin tucks, squeeze, and release. Full body stretch. Then take your arms by your side or anywhere that's comfortable, bend the knees, and we'll give a little movement to the hips. So we're going to work on releasing a little bit of the hips today. We hold a lot of tension there, a lot of emotion, so those outbursts can be waiting to release from those tight hips, the instability in the hips. And then come back to center, and to begin to bring awareness into this hip area, we're going to come into a bridge position. So bending the knees and walking those heels towards the buttocks, and your arms are by your side. If your fingers can graze, that's great, and if not, that's great too. All right, so feet are about hip distance apart and toes are pointing forward. We're going to come into some gentle movements of the hips. So on the inhale, we're going to tilt the hips back, create an arch in the spine. So I can slide my hand right underneath as I tilt my hips back. And on the exhale, we're going to tilt the hips forward and come to a flat back. Inhale, tilt the tail back. Exhale, tilt it forward. Continue inhaling and exhaling with the movement, finding your flow. And then coming to neutral spine, gently lift the hips up without taking the heart towards the chest towards the chin, just gently lifting the hips up as you press the feet into the floor and then lowering back down. So maybe you're lifting the hips up just a few inches off the mat to create some movement. It's not how high, it's just the gentle lift of the hips up and back down to the mat. So 2 more as you lift the hips, or continue to tilt forward and back. And last one. And lower. All right, from here, both legs up to the sky. Flex the feet, point and rotate the ankles. Both directions. Point, flex, point, flex. And then take the legs up, press the heels towards the sky, spread the toes, and then release the feet, float the heels back down, and take the soles of the feet to touch. Butterfly position on our back, so supine butterfly. And then we're going to gently flutter the legs. So arms again can be wherever you're comfortable. I have my palms up, and then they're just in a little upside down V or A shape. You can also take your arms to cactus if you want to open up the chest. And you can find stillness in this position as well. Some may not feel this is comfortable, so it's okay to get out of it if it feels uncomfortable. On the next breath, we're going to take the knees up, bring the knees into chest, and then take the hands on the knees and make circles with our knees, massaging the low back. Both directions. And then coming into a full body stretch, extend the legs long, arms over the head. Let's feel the abdomen stretch. Take a few breaths while you're lengthening here. Feel your body lengthen. And then bring the knees into chest and begin to rock it out or prop yourself back up to seated. And then let's be in tabletop position. In tabletop position, stack the shoulders over the wrists. Let's point the index finger forward. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Knees stack just underneath the hips, and option here to curl the toes under if you want to give a nice little stretch to the feet or keep them flat. Let's cat-cow. On the inhale, let's tilt the tail, take the abdomen down towards the earth, and take the gaze up to the sky. On the exhale, chin's going to move towards the chest. You're going to tuck the tail and round in, or find your neutral spine if this isn't comfortable. Inhale, extend, take the gaze up. Exhale, gently coming into either neutral spine or rounding in. So find your flow here with your breath, slowing down your movement with your breath. All right, when you're ready, coming back to neutral spine, and let's take the hips into circles, both directions. And let's give ourselves a little moment here. Let's take the knees wide to the width of the mat. Let the toes touch. Let's bring the hips back towards the heels, extend the arms forward, and give yourself a little rest. Let's take the forehead to the mat. So option here to take the hands into prayer position and extend forward. And then if you'd like to bend the elbows and bring those hands, prayer hands, to the mid shoulders or back of the neck, you can. And then we're gonna walk those elbows forward to give ourselves a nice little tricep stretch. So as we walk those elbows forward, the hips are gonna shift back. You're gonna feel that stretch. Release prayer hands, bring them back to extend, and take a bow. Walk the hands back towards your knees, come to your tabletop, and then we're going to extend that right leg. Toes are going to point down. We're going to do a little tilt of the hip, rotate outward. So we're going to take those toes and rotate them out to the right side. So right toes point outward. On the exhale, they're going to rotate downwards. Toes are going to point down. Inhale, tilt out. Exhale, tilt downwards. Inhale, tilt out. Exhale, tilt downwards. And then from here, you're going to lengthen that left arm and come into extended tabletop. Press through the heel, lengthen through that palm. And then bring everything back to your tabletop and reset the hips. Side, side, and we'll do the other side. Extend that left leg long, toes point down. Inhale, tilt the toes outward. Exhale, tilt the toes downwards. Inhale, tilt them out. Exhale, tilt them down. Last one, tilting the toes out to the left side and then tilting them back in. Then you're gonna lengthen that leg and then extend that right arm into extended top, tabletop, reaching in opposite directions. Pull that navel in, and then that right hand comes back, left leg comes back, come back to your table, and sway the hips side to side. Circles if you'd like, anything to loosen up the hips. All right, let's curl the toes under, shift the hips back. As we walk the hands forward, let's take a little puppy pose as we take the heart towards the mat, maybe resting the forehead on a block or on the mat. And feel that length through the spine as you reach those hips back. You can tent the fingers here if you'd like and reach those wrists forward. Sink the heart towards the mat and breathe. One more breath. And on the exhale, walk the hands back, find your table. All right, right leg extends, bend the knee, flex the foot, and rotate that hip. Let's relieve that stiffness. And then take it in opposite direction. So I'm doing about 3 rotations on each side. You can do 5 if you'd like. And then we're gonna extend that leg long, ground the toes, press the heel back. Come onto the forearms. And if you'd like to just interlace the fingers, you can, and press, and then lift that leg up and shift forward so your chin's kind of underneath, your chin's over your fists or your interlaced fingers. And then shift back, lower that leg, hands underneath the shoulders, and bring that leg back, shift side to side. Left leg extends, bend the knee and circle the hip. Opposite direction when you're there. And then extend that leg long, ground the toes, press through the heel, come to the forearms and press back. From here, shift forward, take the chin over. You can lift that back leg or ground the toes, all up to you. And chin over the interlaced fingers. And then we shift back, ground those toes again, hands underneath the shoulders, and come back to your tabletop. Let's curl the toes under and press into down dog. So point those index fingers forward, widen your hands so those fingers are nice and spread wide, and we're gonna lift the hips up and back, heart towards the thighs. Walk your dog and breathe. Lift the heels high, bend the knees, take a little bear hover. Switch the gaze between the hands and then press yourself back, or you can drop the knees all the way down if that's more comfortable for you. Inhale the heels high, bend the knees, switch the gaze, and then let's walk the feet to meet the hands, come to a forward fold at the top of the mat. Ragdoll here if that feels good to you. If you have sinus stuff going on, that may not feel good, so lift the body up a little bit just to kind of let that drainage bring in less discomfort. So again, you can just lift the body up so the sinuses can sometimes create so much pressure, or release all the way down for your ragdoll. Let the head loose, shoulders loose. You can grab elbow to elbow if you'd like. Take a sway, a nod of the head, or a shake of the head. Inhale, hands on the shins to lengthen. And let's root to rise. Nice deep breath in as we rise. Palms touch, palms come to heart. Inhale, palms come up. Reach up, reach back. Exhale, either swan dive down or palms together, take a forward fold. All up to you. Inhale, hands on the shins, coming to a half lift. Exhale, plant those palms, right foot steps back, and then left foot. Drop the knees. Come all the way down to the mat. Find yourself fully on the mat, hands underneath the shoulders. Taking cobra pose. On the in-breath, we're going to press all 10 toes in, strong legs, press the hips into the mat. Inhale, lift the chest. And breathe normally, take the gaze up to the sky. One more breath, and on the exhale, come all the way down. Inhale, coming into second set. Nice strong legs, press all 10 toes in, shoulders back, slide the heart forward, elbows tucked. Exhale, lower. Tuck the toes under and gently lift yourself back up. Shift the hips back, take a little bow. Inhale, shift forward, coming to a modified plank. Lift your knees and press into down dog. And if it feels good to exhale through the mouth, this is a nice opportunity to do that. Nice deep breath in. Let it go. Inhale, heels high. Switch the gaze between the hands and walk the feet back to meet the hands, forward fold. Inhale, hands on the shins, half lift, tilting the tail, lengthening through the crown. Exhale, plant those palms, left foot steps back, then right foot steps back. Drop the knees, come all the way down. Cobra again, nice deep breath in, press all 10 toes. A gentle lift of the chest, slide the heart forward and exhale. Just doing it a little shorter this time. On the next breath, inhale, press all 10 toes in, strong legs, hips press in, and lift the heart and lower. Curl the toes under, gentle lift onto your knees. Lift into plank, and then find your down dog. Inhale, lift the heels high, bend the knees, and walk your feet to meet your hands. Forward fold. If it feels good to bend the knees and rest the torso on the thighs, you can do that, and even bring the hands just behind the heels. From here, extend the arms forward. So the gaze is going to come up, arms are going to reach forward, and you're going to come all the way back up. Arms float down by your sides. Find your mountain pose. Nice deep breaths. All right, so engaging those thighs, lifting those quads up, pulling the navel in and up. Shoulders draw towards the ears, roll them back. Wrists reach down towards the earth. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, swan dive down, forward fold. Inhale, hands on the shins to lengthen. Exhale, plant the palms, right foot steps back, drop that right knee. All right. So here we are in a lunge, and what we're going to do is that knee is nice and tucked underneath that shoulder, underneath the left shoulder. I'm going to lengthen my right leg. So notice here that I'm just kind of crawling it back, creating the space between the left hip and the right hip. So you can take the gaze forward here to lift the body. You can tent the fingers, or you can use blocks to lift the body in this lunge. What we're doing here is we're not taking the knee over the foot, right? So we're have the knee nice and stacked. Inhale, shift the hips back slowly and come to a half splits. Lift the foot onto its heel and then see if you can press the foot down to get a nice front stretch there. And then find what's comfortable for you. You can shift forward and back, or you can find yourself in stillness, just getting into that stretch of the hamstrings. All right, so let's ground that foot. I got something different for you. Okay, so again, we're in that low lunge. We've lengthened that back leg. We're gonna heel toe, we're gonna come into the T-band stretch here. So we're gonna heel toe that foot, that left foot to the outer right edge, and we're gonna bring it to the outside of the foot. So leaning on the outside of the foot, okay? Hands are bracketed around the foot, or hand nice and left hand and right hand bracket that front foot so that you can press yourself back and shift that hip towards that left back corner of your mat. Again, you can use blocks here if that's more comfortable for you to lift the body. As you shift back, and then shift forward, and then shift back. So a little movement there. Find what works for you. And then bring those hips back again towards that left corner and hang out there for a moment. So draw that left hip back. You're gonna feel it all the way in here, all the way to the glute. For you advanced yogis out there, if you want to transition to a pigeon pose, this is a really great position to be in, to come into pigeon. Again, you can tend the fingers to lift your body and reach those hips back. All right, so let me walk myself into pigeon so that we can do pigeon together. So if this position, if pigeon isn't comfortable, stay right here. If you're gonna get into pigeon, let's take that left knee and bring it down. Then you're gonna bring the forearms down, or you're gonna support yourself with your hands and gaze forward, shoulders back. So if you come down on your forearms, you could use a block here to rest or stack right here. Or you can take your fists and stack your fists, widen the elbows, and then bring awareness to that back foot and make sure that that back foot isn't twisting to the left or tilting to the left or right, and bring it just behind the heel. And then ease into that hip stretch. You can also support your pigeon by using a block and supporting that left hip in this posture. All right, so hands come underneath the shoulders to lift the body back up. Take that left hand and bring it just to the outside of that knee, and then you're gonna gently shift back. Hands again are gonna bracket that foot, so you're gonna come back into that original stretch. Nice deep breath here. Lengthen and reach the hip back, and then release, heel toe that left foot back underneath the shoulder. All right. All right, so from here, ground that right palm, open up left side. So lift that left arm up to the sky. Reach, reach, reach. A nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, lower that arm. We're going to curl the toes under of that back foot and extend that front leg. Take the forehead towards the knee. And then lift the gaze to the top of the mat. Back foot steps front, forward fold. Inhale, hands on the shins, lengthen, half lift. Root to rise, come all the way up. Let your palms touch and palms come to heart. So take note here to notice how one side of the hip or leg feels over the other. Inhale together, let's reach up, palms up. Look up at the thumbs and reach back, press the hips forward. Exhale, forward fold. So you can either swan dive or leave the hands in prayer and then release at the bottom of the fold. Inhale, hands on the shins for your half lift. Exhale, plant those palms. Left foot's gonna step back and left knee down. Again, I'm just scooting my foot up so it's underneath my shoulder and that knee is stacked right over the ankle. Then I'm gonna lengthen that left leg just to create that space in the hip. So here's our low lunge. Take the gaze forward. All focused on the hips. Last breath. And then let's begin to heel toe that right foot to the left side of the mat. Take the foot to the outer edge. Hands bracket the foot. And then we're going to shift those hips back towards that right corner of the mat. So position your hands in the most comfortable way that you can lift your body and shift back. Shift forward. And then shift back. So reach that right hip towards that right corner, back right corner, and then shift forward. So play with this back and forth, and then find your stretch. So where you need it most, hang out there. So if you're all of a sudden in this place where you're like, oh, that's really tight, hang out there for a little while and breathe through that tightness to loosen that up. So fascia is like that. We get really, really tight where it hurts, but we breathe through it. Not hurts like you're hurting yourself, but it's really, really like tight where it's painful, but not bringing you down to your knees. All right, so take another breath here. And then we're going to shift it forward and find our pigeon pose. So you can lift that back knee to adjust that back leg. Hands are going to come in front of that right leg. Flex the foot. So I'm flexing my foot because my leg is pretty parallel to the top of the mat. If your leg is at an angle, I highly recommend just relaxing the foot and not flexing it. And what's going to be telling is your knee. So you don't want to feel any pain in the knee. It's all about the angle. So again, if it's angling this way, don't feel like you have to flex the foot. And I'm going to begin to come down. Find the length through that back leg. So this isn't comfortable, I'll say that. This is not comfortable, and that's where we use the breath. Our mind is telling us, I don't like this, I want to get out of it. Come back to your breath awareness. Again, you can stack the fists, widen the elbows to give yourself some space. Use your breath. Let's bring the hands underneath the shoulders and slowly begin to lift ourselves back up. We're going to lift our body up, walk the hands so that again our hands bracket that foot again, and we're going to extend that right leg as we take those hips back and get into that stretch again. And then shift forward and heel toe that foot back. All right, so ground that left palm, open up right side, lift that right arm up to the sky. Option to lift that leg if you want to take it a little further, or it's perfectly fine with the knee down. Float that arm back down. Curl the toes under, lift that back knee, extend that front leg, take the forehead towards the knee. Strength through that back leg, engaging that back leg. Inhale, take the gaze forward to the top of the mat. Let that back foot step front and forward fold. Gentle roll all the way up, press through the feet. Arms come all the way up. Tone the legs, palms touch, and palms come to heart. Bring your arms by your side and come into your mountain pose. In mountain, bring the awareness in to notice how your body feels. Engaging the thighs or toning the legs, lifting those kneecaps, pulling the navel in and up. Shoulders reach towards the ears, roll those shoulders back, wrists reach down towards the earth, chin parallel to the floor, and find that stillness. All right, let's release the body. Take a little wider step and let the arms just hang and little waterfall arms. And then you can bring your feet a little closer together, and when you're ready, bring them to the hips and circle those hips. Both directions. So feel how much looser your hips feel. We strengthened our back, stretched our low back. Now we're going to slide the hands to the knees for knee circles. Both directions. Slide the hands all the way down, come to that forward fold. And then let's roll all the way up to standing. Inhale, arms come up. Take that right hand to the left wrist and inhale, lengthen that left side. Arch over to the right side. Press the hips away if that feels good, making it a little crescent shape. And then come back to center. Switch sides. Inhale, lengthen, and arch over left side. Reach those right hips away and come back to center. Float the arms down, roll the shoulders, and bend the knees. And roll them forward. All right, coming back to, you guys are already at the top of the mat. I'm coming back. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, swan dive down this time for your forward fold. Inhale, hands on the shins to lengthen. Exhale, plant the palms, let both feet step back, find your modified plank. Bring the hips back. And then shift forward, coming to a grounded up dog. And then shift the hips back. Option here to come into a child's pose. So either knees wide or right where mine are hip distance, about hip distance apart. If it feels good for you here to come into a child's pose, instead of extending the arms, you can drape the torso over your legs and rest the third eye. Gently lifting yourself back up, hands underneath the shoulders, and then shift the hips to one side and swing the legs around. All right. Flex the feet. Nice deep breath in as we bring those arms over the head parallel to the ears, and take a nice deep breath again. And on the exhale, hinge forward. Wherever the hands land is just fine. I like to peace finger my toes, or you can reach for the outsides of the feet or the shins or the ankles. Nice deep breath in as you lengthen. Exhale, hinge. So again, it's not how deep, it's just keeping that length in the spine as you lengthen through the crown, and then release. Bring that right foot over the left thigh. So you're bending the knee, and you're going to wrap that right arm around that right knee. Press the heel forward. And then let's inhale that left arm up to lengthen that left side body. Flip the palm, bring it behind you. Press the heart forward, and then gently take a little twist to the left side. And take the gaze over the left shoulder. Inhale that left arm up, slowly unwinding, and then bring that elbow over or towards that right knee. Support your back with that right hand, and then take a twist on the opposite side. And then release. And then squeeze forward, squeeze that leg, press the heart forward, and then switch sides. Bring that left leg over the right. Wrap that left arm around it, and then inhale that right arm up, rotate it back, bring that arm behind you, support your low back, and then take a little twist, a little gaze to the right side over the shoulder, or to the right side. Slowly unwinding, that arm's going to rotate back up, and then hug in that left knee to chest, and then you're going to take that left arm behind you, press the heart forward, and then take the gaze over the shoulder. Flex that right foot, and then slowly unwind, squeeze back in, and release. Let go of the legs. Find your middle of your mat, bend the knees, windshield wiper side side. All right. We're going to find ourselves back on our mats. Take it slow if you'd like, or just find yourself back lying down on your mat. Take a full body stretch once you're there. And then take the knees into chest, rock it out. Hands on the front of the knees, take the knees wide, flex the feet. A little frog pose in the air. Take those shoulders towards the mat, pull the navel in towards the back of the spine. And then bring the knees back together, extend the legs up to the sky. You can bring your arms over the head or wherever they're comfortable. You can take cactus arms here. Or you can just bring them by your side. If it feels good to you, you can point and flex the feet or even rotate the ankles. And then I'm going to float my feet back down to the mat. Windshield wiper side side. Take the arms into the T position and then take the knees to the right side. Take the gaze over to the left. And then bring the knees back to center. Float them all the way over to the left side. Take the gaze to the right side. Bring the gaze back to center, knees come back to center, and find the most comfortable position for you. So you can bring your arms by your side, palms up. You can butterfly your legs. You can take your hands or your arms wherever it's comfortable. So if you want to place your palms on your solar plexus or your sacral chakra, you can, just on below the navel and above the navel. Or, being that we worked on the hips a lot today, you can bring both hands just below the navel, giving off some love and heat into your sacral chakra. Tilt the chin down. Maybe tuck those shoulders in. So, if you want to do something different or bring another posture in, you're very welcome to. Or you're welcome to extend your legs, take your arms by your side, and find your final resting pose. That pose that's going to allow you to melt and relax the entire body, relieving any tension, leaving behind any chaos, because you are the peace within the chaos. You can begin to close your eyes and come back to your breath awareness. Relax the hands and the shoulders, the hips. Let the toes fall open. And relax the jaw and the brows. I'm going to begin to rise by bending my knees. But you're welcome to wiggle your fingers or bring your knees into chest and take your time, or you can stay in stillness for as long as you'd like. I'm going to roll over to my right side and gently press all the way back up to seated. I'm going to seal class today by bringing my hands to prayer position. I want to thank you all for joining me today and being a part of our community in one breath, one love. Bringing our hands to our third eye is a reminder to think kind thoughts, to our lips to speak kind words, and back down to our hearts as a full reminder to live with love, joy, compassion, inner strength, lots of courage, and lots of grace. From my heart to yours, and from PCS and